Welcome to This Tango Voice, a show where I invite tango dancers to share their recent adventures. I'm your host, William Lee. Today, we're joined by Victoria Uneric, who went to Buenos Aires for the second time in November last year. She shares with us how she organized the 3-week trip, what she did in the city, and her experience of revisiting Buenos Aires. All right, good morning, everyone. So, we have Victoria here with us, and she's going to talk about her trip to BA in November last year.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here.
Okay, so first, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience, Victoria? Who are you? And tell us a little bit about your tango journey.
Well, that's a very loaded question. Who am I?
It's so deep.
I am Victoria Uneric.
We only have 2 minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes, okay. I'm Victoria Uneric and I have been dancing tango, 3-4 years now.
Okay.
Started in Kiev.
Okay.
Yes. I visited Kiev for a few weeks, and while there I took a few private classes. Actually, I took 10 private classes because it was more affordable for me.
It was more affordable
to take private classes in Kiev.
Than to take private classes elsewhere?
Yes, at the time.
Okay.
I don't know what it is now like.
Mm.
And that's how I got into tango.
And this was autumn 2021? Just before the war?
Yeah, just before the war.
Okay.
Exactly.
What were you doing in Kiev?
I was waiting out for my visa to get back to UK.
Okay.
So that was a stop.
Okay. So that's where you started. Did you go to any practica, milongas while you were in Kiev?
No, but I took a few group classes, which structured very differently to the classes in the UK. So if you sign up for a class, it's a mandatory for you to go to nearly every class. I think you're only allowed to miss 2 maximum.
Okay. What happens if you miss more?
You have to take it over again.
Oh, as in you have to start the course again?
Yes.
I see.
Exactly.
And the courses are progressive, so you can't go to the next level until you've completed this, or?
I would say yes. I haven't actually explored it myself, but it appears that unless you graduated from the previous course, you wouldn't be invited to the next.
Okay, I see. Very, very strict.
Mm-hmm. Very Soviet.
And how is tango in Kiev?
I have no idea.
Ah, okay, because you never went out
in Ukraine.
Yeah.
No.
Did you get the sense that it was popular?
It was. In the class I took, we had pretty good balance of men and women, followers, leaders. So that felt encouraging in that sense. But I can't, just judging by that class, I can't really say how popular it is.
Yeah. Did you get the sense that people in your class, they were going out to milongas in the evenings?
I did not know what milonga was at that. Well, okay. I've seen a couple of events happening. I never dared to go. As everyone was beginner, I never really talked to them about it.
Okay. And then you moved to Oxford, and then what?
As soon as I moved to Oxford, I started taking classes with the Oxford Tango Academy.
Okay.
Dante and Lily. I was in their beginner classes. For a bit, I started going to practicas and milongas as soon as I could, to be honest. And by could, I mean as soon as I saw one.
Okay.
I went, and I think it helped me a lot just practicing dancing.
Yeah. So you said you started maybe going to practicas, 6 months after you started? Or earlier than that?
Maybe even earlier than that.
Okay. That's great. And then you went to BA for the first time around 2 years ago?
Yes, August.
Okay, so August 2023.
Yes, that's right.
And tell us about that trip.
Oh, that was amazing. That was a pilgrimage to the tango capital of the world. Well, it was very magical and fairy tale-like. And that trip, we mostly focused on going to milongas and practicas. I think exploring tango scene in Buenos Aires. It was happening. The Mundial was happening around the same time, so we've seen a few performances.
Yeah. So for our listeners, the Mundial is the tango championship that happens once a year in Buenos Aires. And it's probably one of the biggest tango competitions.
Everybody wants to be there. So that was more of a tango pilgrimage, the first visit to Buenos Aires, experiencing how tango is in Buenos Aires.
Okay, so maybe we'll sort of lead on to that during your second trip, which is really the focus of this podcast. So tell us about your second trip. Well, actually, talk us through a little bit on why you decided to go back, how you arranged it, how much time you spent there.
Well, the reason I decided to go back was because my role was made redundant at the company I was working at. And so it was a good opportunity to kind of go back to Buenos Aires, since you never know when you're going to have another chance to do so. So, yeah, it was a nearly last minute decision. I think I booked my plane tickets 2 weeks before the flight. Found the accommodation around the same time. I stayed there for 3 weeks. And the goal for me was mostly taking classes with our teacher. As many classes as I could.
Okay. With the teacher that you met in your first trip?
Yes. So Semenova, who was recommended to us by Amy. I've taken 3 privates on the first trip with her. And I just fell in love with her teaching style. And I think the 3 classes made such a difference for me in understanding what tango is for a follower. It helped me improve a lot, even though I still had a lot of work to do and still do. But it was incredibly valuable. And it also taught me a lesson of being picky about the teachers. Okay. Because I think it's important to pick the right teacher, the teacher who speaks your language, who kind of explains things in a way you understand and helps you develop your tango using your body. So, yeah, and that's the reason. Going back to Buenos Aires to take more classes with Katya to develop further.
Okay. And sort of talk me through a typical day in BA for you during those 3 weeks.
Oh, should I go to planning first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So planning was relatively easy. I think coming back to Buenos Aires, because we've already I spent there 2 weeks. I've had a general idea of where to stay, where to go. So I've booked a place in shared flat, which was good enough for me. It was in walking distance to the school, Katya's school, that they just recently opened at the time. It was only 3 months old, I think. The planning itself, I think the biggest planning I had to do is figure out how to get my SIM card, how to get from the airport to the house I was staying in, and that's about it. Everything else is relatively easy. Getting around Buenos Aires, I used public transport, and I already had the Suba card. But even if I needed to buy it, there were ways to find where to get them at the airport.
I remember buses and metro was very cheap and very efficient.
Yes, very efficient and run quite late. I think some of them buses run all night. Metro, I think, and the stops running around 10, 11. But yeah, it was really easy to get around. Planning itself wasn't as scary as I thought.
Okay, great. Do you remember the neighborhood you stayed in?
I stayed in Palermo, Hollywood. It's a little farther away from Almagre, where a lot of tango events happens that we would go on our previous trip. But it still was not terribly far. Yeah,
it seemed like there were milongas in just about every neighborhood.
Yes.
But obviously we were more familiar with the milongas around Almagro and Palermo, Soho.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so back to my typical day in Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Since I was applying for jobs, while I still was in Buenos Aires, my mornings were mostly applying for jobs, a couple of hours of every day. Then I would book. So I had 2 or 3 privates a week. No, I had 2 privates a week. So I had one private with Katya and one private with Pablo. I forgot his name.
Okay, we'll look this up.
Yes. But
Slip it back into the audio.
Exactly. You know Pablo.
Yeah, I know Pablo.
Very musical, charming dancer, and I loved the way he teaches. He's very relaxed. He's all about musicality and playfulness. That was a very good experience.
Pablo is another recommendation by Amy, right?
Yes, that's right. She's and what's the term? She's the well of good information about who to take lessons in Buenos Aires. So I'm very grateful for her introduction to Katya and Pablo. So yeah, I would, if it was my day when I would take privates, I think I wouldn't spend as much time relaxing in the morning and applying for jobs, because I just would go through my notes, prepare for the private, remind myself what was done in the previous class, and then head off. What else did I do? Yeah, so if it's a private day, I'd go for the private, come back. It was already quite hot in November, so I had to take the afternoon easy, spend a couple of hours in a nice cool house, and then in the evening I would plan for a milonga.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go usually one milonga a night. I didn't want to overdo it. Yeah, I was gonna say, so if it wasn't like, if there was another class at Katya's studio, which mostly was running every day, I would take her group classes as well.
Okay.
Every day.
Yeah.
Which is like hour and a half long.
Okay. And were they well attended, these group classes?
They were only 3 months old as a studio. So the classes were quite small at the time. So the teachers had a lot of space to pay attention to everyone.
Okay. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah, this was also my impression in BA, which is even in a group class, the teachers try to give you a lot of individual attention and feedback. And I can imagine in a smaller group class you get a lot more of that.
Yes. La Maleva as well. I was taking classes at La Maleva on Thursdays, I believe, before their practica. Pablo was teaching group class as well with a guest female follower. And similar setup, but it is usually better if you go to those classes with a partner.
Okay.
To just balance the room a little more, because there's still that experience of if you're like a lone follower, there will be rotating, but it's not always, it's not always happens that you get to dance every round.
Yeah, you might get missed out.
Exactly.
Okay. And is it in group classes in BA, is it common to rotate dancers?
Yes, so at least, well, again, my experiences was only with Katya's and La Maleva, and they do rotate. They insist on rotation. There are some couples that, like, just as they do here, they stick together. I have not taken group classes, pre-milonga group classes that sometimes taught in big milongas, but I've seen them, and they seem a little more chaotic and a little more busy, especially when season is full.
Yeah. What is the season? Explain that.
Season is, it's a tourist season when lots of people come either for Mundial, or
Mundial is in the middle of the winter, though. It's in August.
It's middle of August to middle of September, end of September.
It's always about 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, so it gets quite busy with tourists because everybody comes to either compete or watch competitions. And because a lot of events during Mundial are organized by the city, they're free as well. So it attracts a lot of tango tourists. And then the main season is, I would say, end of November to, is it March?
Okay.
It's summer there, it's very hot, and everybody comes to Buenos Aires to dance.
Europeans and North Americans?
Yes.
Okay.
So when I was attending milongas towards the end of my trip, they already started getting very busy. The group class, pre-milonga classes would be, one of them I've seen, it felt like they had about 60 people and 2 teachers and very crowded floor. And the class itself felt like the very crowded milonga. So yeah, and actually I've talked to a few friends Annika, one of them,
Mhm.
who mentioned that it's not worth going to the group classes unless you know a partner, have a partner.
I see. Yeah, I can imagine it's quite hard to rotate when there are 30 couples on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about milongas in BA, or at least the milongas you're familiar with.
Yeah, so the milongas I've went to, I think they're more in the, I don't want to say younger side, but it's more relaxed. Yeah,
Mhm.
relaxed is a better term. They're more relaxed milongas where it's sort of some mix between practica and milonga. You don't have to dress up. It's not very traditional where they separate men and women. Everybody's coming for a drink or a snack. They chill, they chat, they socialize, and they dance.
Are they typically in a dance hall, or is it more casual, like in a cafe or restaurant?
Most of the ones I went to were either cafe, the garage, converted into a studio, dance studio, and
so-
the sports hall.
Right, so I think Victoria is talking about the practica organized by La Maleva. It's called El Garage, and it's literally in a converted garage.
Yes, and on Fridays they now do Las Malevas, the milonga, in the same space.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the spaces I've been to. We did go to more grand places. At least one of them that I remember, La Viruta, on our first trip. A huge stage, very busy, can't even move 2 meters in one tanda.
Yeah.
I was quite busy there.
Yeah, I remember.
And that was during the season.
Finishing the tanda about 2 meters away from where I started.
Yeah.
After 3 songs. Okay, and how do you find how do the milongas compare to, say, milongas in London or Oxford?
In London and Oxford? Well, because I was going to more relaxed milongas, I feel like they're much more relaxed than milongas in London.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I get the sense that, I mean, here in the UK, when people go to a milonga, people go there to dance.
Yeah, they make an effort, they want to dance. There isn't, like, very, very little socializing.
Yeah. Whereas in BA, people can be quite happy drinking for most of the night and then get up for 2 or 3 dances.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes. Oxford, I don't know, I think there are a lot more. It's hard to compare it to Oxford, to be honest. I feel Oxford is, well, Steve's milonga, the Oxford milonga, is similar in a sense where people come to dance.
Yeah. It's definitely much more of an occasion here.
Yes.
Yeah. There is a sort of more like a way of life. Almost like you would sit in a cafe or something.
Exactly. So I've met leaders who would come to milonga or practica during the week after the work for a couple of hours, and then they go back early because they need to start work in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like people just, instead of going to a bar, they go to milonga at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah.
And they also don't, well, the rumor I heard, because the financial situation in the country is difficult, people can't really afford all the fancy dresses and costumes and everything, so people just come in their regular clothes, making it a lot more relaxed, which is it feels actually very nice.
Yeah, I've heard this actually, that one way to stand out as a foreigner is to wear tango-specific clothing.
Yes, that's right.
At least in BA at the moment. Okay, I also wanted to ask about, so how do you find sort of mirada and cabaseo in BA compared to the UK?
It's not much different.
Okay.
My first experience on the first trip, I was expecting cabaseos and I was expecting all this rules followed to the dot. It's not true. What I found out is that younger leaders will just walk up to you and ask for a dance. Older leaders will cabaseo. But it's not like a set rule that you only do this or that. There are milongas I've heard of where it's very traditionally women separated from men.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets designated seat and they cannot stand or walk. They have to come back to their seat and have to cabaseo across the room.
Yeah.
Annika has experienced that, and she
we never went to one of those.
We haven't. She enjoyed it, and she invited me, but it didn't work out. I think I would like to try it once with somebody who has been there already, just so we don't get too bad to seat that is very far in the back. But I don't think it's my thing.
So you talked about the sort of the milongas during the week. What time do they typically finish?
During the week, I think some finish, most of them finish around 12 or 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of the hip milongas at the time. Was it Muy Martes? Was very big. I think that goes till 5 in the morning.
Wow, okay, during the week.
Yeah. But it's... I feel like that was more for tourists.
Okay.
That was my feeling. I don't know how right I am about it, but
Sure.
I just saw a lot of tourists there.
Okay, great. Yeah, you mentioned the financial situation affecting the way people dress in milongas. Were there other ways in which it's affecting the tango community?
The financial instability in the country.
Yes.
Affecting tango community.
Well, I guess to begin with, you said the milongas were a lot more expensive.
Not a lot more expensive, but I think it doubled in price since the last year, which is about
doubling
under
in
£5
price in a year. Okay, yeah.
Under £5.
Right, yeah. So when we went the first time in 2023, the milongas were, 2,000 pesos, maybe. Some of them maybe 3 if it had a live band.
Yeah.
Which was about £2 or £3 at the time.
Yeah. And now it's about 5,000 to 7,000, depending on milonga again, orchestra or not.
Which might seem reasonable if you're coming from Europe, but for the locals,
this
is definitely not cheap.
No, definitely not. I don't think they will be able to go to every milonga every night.
Okay. What was the kind of your overall takeaway from your trip? You said you spent three weeks there.
3 weeks, mostly taking classes, really focusing on that, and I'm really glad I did it, and I would love to do it again. Mainly because the way Kata teaches seemed to fast track my improvement. I guess main thing I learned is that there is there are the same milongas you attend here in Europe are in Buenos Aires. So you get good dancers, you get bad dancers, you get dancers who like to show off and throw their followers around, and there are of course milongueros, but you just get a lot more of that in concentration in terms of like there are 5-10 milongas happening every day. All the good and bad you experience everywhere else, you'll experience it in Buenos Aires. Probably the thing that you don't experience as much here, it's the live bands.
Right, yes.
Like orchestras, that's just absolutely amazing to be able to dance to a live orchestra. And I had this beautiful experience. It was a practica milonga event. Somebody's birthday was celebrated at El Zorzal, and they invited 5 bands for one afternoon into the night. It was beautiful, and it's a tiny space. You remember it? It's a very tiny space.
It's like a corner cafe.
Exactly, but
with a checkered floor.
It was amazing. It was beautiful. Yeah. So dancing to the beautiful music, to like very energetic orchestra, it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
So there isn't much here.
Yeah, that's true. I remember 2 years ago, the first time we went, we stumbled into a milonga with a live band. This is when La Santa Calavera, they had just started playing at this milonga. It was also a very young milonga. I think we went on the 5th or the 6th week since it's opened. And the atmosphere was incredible. And I couldn't believe that we paid 3,000 pesos to listen to this live music.
Even 7,000 pesos for 5 orchestras.
Yeah.
It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask a little bit about you as a solo female traveller in the MBA. You mentioned that you sort of got hit on in some milongas.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, tell us how you felt about it.
Well, I felt a bit... I did not like it, personally. I don't know why. It was sort of mixed into tango. It was a little bit too sensual for me. And I personally did not enjoy it. That was one experience, and so I was avoiding that leader from then on. And then there was another leader who just, I don't know, almost felt like he wanted to go out with me while I was there.
I see.
Yeah, so... funny, I haven't thought about that experience. I remember the first time it happened, I felt a bit mucky. I did not like it. I didn't want to go back to milongas at all.
Okay. Wow, that was okay.
Yeah, that was my personal experience. It just kind of brought up all these weird memories from growing up in Ukraine, where you get all this men. What's the term? Where they objectifying you? That's the word.
Okay, so you didn't
I
think
felt
it was
objectified.
okay. Yeah.
Yes, and I wasn't there to meet people, right, for that purpose. I just wanted to dance
Sure.
and enjoy tango and improve my tango. So I guess maybe that was lost in translation somehow. So being objectified like that, I wasn't prepared. I was kind of caught off guard, and that's why I felt more kind of like disturbed by it.
Okay, but you felt it was, as in, if you made clear that you were not interested in it, then they would just back off?
Yes. I think
Okay.
that's...
So it was all very...
absolutely, yeah. It's not like they don't go after you say no necessarily.
Yeah. Okay, so it certainly wouldn't make you feel uncomfortable or unsafe.
No. I felt pretty safe as a female. One thing I would say, I did not feel safe walking at night. I walked sometimes for like 20-30 minutes.
After the milonga?
After the milonga, around 12 or 1, I would take a bus, but at the same time, it's relatively safe. You have to watch your surroundings. You have to be prepared, whatever. But streets were mostly empty. I generally have this feeling of being unsafe. Again, coming where I grew up from, I was just constantly feeling unsafe. So it just kind of reminded me of that.
Okay.
Being alert, just intently watching my surroundings. Once you're on the bus, it's pretty safe.
All right, that sounds great in terms of your experience of your second trip. What would you do in your next trip? What are the things that you would do? How would you plan it? What do you aim to get out of it? Because I imagine you said the first and the second trip are a little bit different in nature. The first is more of an experience to get the sense of what the tango scene is like. And your more recent trip, you were more focused on taking classes with Katya that you met in the first trip. If you were to go back, what's your plans going forward?
Well, my plan is to go back. I have been planning a return trip to Buenos Aires trip, and I'm planning a group trip, as you know. So together with Katya, I enlisted Katya and her co-teachers, co-founders of the school, to create a course for a group of 8 people, like a 10-day intensive. And so the plan is to go back for 2 weeks and focus on training, really improving tango. So I think from now on, if I ever go to Buenos Aires, it's mostly improving my tango.
Okay.
Just because I know the teachers, and at this stage, I still feel like I have a lot to learn from them. So that's main goal. But yeah, the trip is designed for 8 couples of the same level, and
8 couples?
Sorry, 8 people,
okay.
4 couples. So yeah, 8 people, 4 couples maximum. So it is more of a semi-private group class. 10 classes, 1.5 hour long, with 1 private included for every participant. And then of course, if you want to do, there are milongas, there are practicas, there's everything else going on that can be done in Buenos Aires.
Yeah. And I guess for some of our listeners, they might think, well, tango as we dance it is a social dance. What's the benefit of taking a lot of private lessons of being a better tango dancer? How does that affect my experience as a social tango dancer?
Oh, for me it changed the whole nature of the dance. It became more... I became more expressive. I feel stronger as a follower. The way Katya taught me to use my body, to use my muscles, and to respond to a leader's suggestions opened a whole new dimension to tango.
Okay.
And also taking lessons with Pablo Alvarez.
Alvarez, yeah.
And Pablo Alvarez kind of expanded my musicality a little further, which also helps me just discover different aspects of the same song that I'm dancing to that I wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, and I also appreciate musicality is not something that is very often covered in the UK by teachers, especially musicality of followers.
Yes.
Right. So I can see that.
Well, as a follower in the UK, because that's where my experience of taking group classes was mostly in the UK. So in the UK, I found that a lot of group classes focused on leaders because they need to learn how to lead a particular step or a sequence. And as a follower, I felt a lot of times like there was no time left for us. And so we were kind of like had to sort of catch up with the leader in a sense.
Okay.
And that's where I feel like benefit of private classes comes for a follower.
Sure. Okay. Now, lastly, aside from tango, because BA is a big city with lots of other events, what's your favorite part of BA?
My favorite part of BA was at a park with a little zoo in it.
Okay. Yeah.
And all the interesting animals wandering around. I loved that. That was my favorite. But I haven't seen much of it, so there's still things for me to see. When I go on this third trip, I would like to plan a group visits maybe to Tigre Delta. I've heard lots of good things about mountains.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's so much to see.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.